It's time for Foodie Friday with Diana and Paul Peacock. Good home cooking to suit everyone's pocket. So we're making a quiche, is that right?
Well, it's a tart.
A tart?
Yes,
okay.
it's more of a tart.
It sounds like...
Quiche has more egg and milk. This does have an egg and milk mixture in it, but a quiche tends to be deeper and has more egg and milk mixture in it. But this is a cheese and red onion tart. Now, if you want to use leeks, you can replace the large red onion with a small leek.
You can also do things like we have a box on the windowsill with chives in it.
Yeah, you could put some, well, you can do both, add some chives to this if you wish. Yeah. But what I'm doing, I've got here in my frying pan, I've got my onions are just softening now. You don't on a low heat.
You don't want to make them brown. You just want them soft.
There's a large red onion chopped quite finely in just a tablespoon of vegetable oil. And I've sprinkled in a teaspoon of thyme leaves, fresh or dried. It's up to you, whichever you like.
Nice addition.
The onion and the thyme go really well together. Now that needs to cool completely. Now what I've got here is a 23 to 25 centimetre loose bottom flanton. Yeah. It's the fluted one, and I've greased it really well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that to a side because I've got some 200 grams of pastry made with 200 grams of plain white flour, half a teaspoon of salt, a level teaspoon of mustard powder, sieved together, and then I've breadcrumbed in 50 grams each of lard and firm butter. They've got to be nice and cold.
When you say breadcrumb, do you mean you've rubbed it in?
Have you rubbed it in? Yeah. Or you can put it into your food processor and let the food processor do it. Now, water is the tricky thing. It's got to be the right amount. If too little and it crumbs again, you've got to use, I start with 2 tablespoons of water and use a knife to bring it together and add more, and you've got to make sure it's quite a soft dough. You need a little more water than you think. If it's all
mushy and horrible, what do you do?
Add a little more flour.
Okay.
If it starts to get too sticky, but if you do it a tablespoon or even a teaspoon if you're more concerned, and get it into a ball with your hands. Now then, I'm going to roll it out straight away. Often short crust pastry is left to rest, you see.
So why are you doing that? Why are you
to rest it now? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into the freezer.
Okay, so it's going to
rest on its own. I'll tell you why in a moment. So we're going to put it into the tin, carefully.
Now you've rolled that onto your rolling pin.
Onto the rolling pin, and I'm just
rolling it into the tray. Okay.
Yeah. Now you can see that there's quite a bit of dough left. Push it in with the knuckle of your first finger of your right hand.
So it takes on the shape of the flutes.
That's right, and then push it in, and you'll have some left, and then just trim, but don't trim too much because it does shrink. So you use a knife, a sharp knife.
Just chop it off.
Just to trim around the edge of your tin. Now then, it's going to, normally I would bake that blind. Most people bake a quiche or a tart pastry blind. You don't need to. Pop it in the freezer for 20 minutes.
Right.
Now remember, your onions are needing to cool, so that 20 minutes is, it's fine. And then just leave it for the 20 minutes and preheat your oven just before you get your pastry out of the freezer to 200 degrees, gas mark 6.
So quite hot.
So quite hot. Now, the rest of the ingredients are very simple. It's literally 150 grams of mature cheddar cheese, nicely grated, and then if you wish, you can use smoked cheddar or a combination. You get a nice smoky flavour. And then all you do is once your tart's been in the freezer and your oven's on, place your onions over the base. Yeah. Sprinkle your cheddar cheese onto your tart over the top. The other 2 ingredients are 2 beaten eggs with 100 mils of milk.
Okay, and you just pour that in?
Just pour that in.
Salt and pepper?
The salt in the pastry, the salt in the cheese.
Okay.
But wait a minute. Now to top, if you like lots and lots and lots, I like black pepper. But you don't have to. That goes in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
But if after about 10 minutes the edges of your pastries is going golden, your centre won't be cooked.
Yeah.
So just turn it down to about 190.
Because the edge is cooking too quickly.
5, that's right. Yeah. And then just cook it. And then at the end you'll find, because you've beaten your egg and your milk together, it'll get a little bit of a rise in the centre.
Right.
That shows it's cooked and it's finished in the centre. Pull it out, that will flatten down as it cools down. And then you can have it either warm, not too hot because there's not as much flavour in it, or you can have it cold and it'll even be delicious the next day.
We hope you enjoyed our recipe as much as I enjoyed eating it. To get the full recipe, you can visit www.penny-watcher.com and click on Radio Recipes.